I'm Solana. I'm Izzy. I don't know where we can both go. And yeah, we are investigating liverworts, and we'll kind of explain what that is because I don't think anyone really has ever heard of it before. So liverworts are a species of bryophyte. You mostly think of mosses when you think of bryophytes, but bryophytes are land plants that grow in many different areas, mostly marginal conditions. So they tend to grow in like rocks and little corners and sidewalk cracks and things like that, especially in the Pacific Northwest. They're all over the place. But they don't have vascular systems the way that most green plants do. They get their water through different methods, but they are heavily reliant on water, which is why they grow really well in the Pacific Northwest. And so the research that we are doing is investigating these liverworts under various nutrient conditions as well as carbon dioxide conditions.
Yeah, and sort of like the overarching purpose for this is to better understand how climate change is going to impact these species in particular, and then further understanding the abilities that they might have to survive under these harsher conditions, and with that, their carbon sequestration abilities. All right, yeah. So like Yolanda mentioned, we are both environmental studies majors. And with that, I like to think of our major as we're kind of translators. So we're able to dip our toes into all sorts of different things. We take economics classes, a history class, policy, politics, all these sorts of things. And then with our specialization, ecological systems, we get to dip more into the natural science aspect as well. So yeah, we just have a kind of like a kaleidoscope perspective on all these sorts of issues.
Yeah, so then last quarter, I was completing my capstone, which is a 10-week research project. And I decided I would like to conduct physical research within the biology department to do this. So I worked with my advisor, Dr. Hayes, and reached out to Dr. Zanis to see how this would be possible. And I was able to complete a study in the lab using liverworts. And for my last study, we actually measured sulfur conditions, and this time we're measuring nitrogen conditions, so a little bit different. And I was able to present that last quarter in March. And Izzy was at the presentation, and we discussed afterwards. She was really interested in what I did and asked how she could get involved in it. And I thought it would be really awesome and helpful to have a second person doing the research because I was doing it all by myself last quarter with a lot of help from Dr. Zanis, but a lot of hours doing data analysis behind the computer. And so I was able to advocate for Izzy to join in the biology department with Dr. Zanis to help further this research.
Yeah, and sort of connecting our research into the main theme of today, integral ecology, our research shows the importance of natural solutions in combating climate change. I feel like a lot of times when we're thinking of how to mitigate the effects of climate change, we're thinking like technology, 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 which yes, technology is great, but in some respects, it has led us to some of the issues that we're facing today by disrupting these natural systems. And there's such a great wealth of knowledge out there in the natural world. So by using these natural solutions to help mitigate climate change, it's really important. And our research is sort of proving that these natural solutions are out there, even in the tiniest of places.
So like Izzy said before, as environmental studies majors, we are dipping our toes into a little bit of everything. So we have a great basis of the social science and an understanding of the climate solutions that exist today and their faults and their benefits. And we bring that unique perspective to doing research in the biology department. There's no other environmental studies students doing research with biology, and this is really a student-powered project. This is something that we wanted to do that we made happen. And so we're able to combine all of this social science knowledge that we've learned through our majors with the biology and ecology aspect that we're delving more into with our specializations. So we're bringing a really unique perspective to the biology department and forming a connection that hasn't existed before to then support our understanding of all of this is integral ecology and what these solutions can really mean.
Yeah, and I think a interesting way in how the Laudato Si document plays into our research is it highlights the importance that all creatures have their role to play. And we're seeing that with our small little liverworts. They're just these little guys and they're in all these random little spaces. And when you think of carbon sequestration, you're probably thinking of some big old trees and some big old forests, but they're there in, the sidewalk cracks. They're there doing the hard work. So really recognizing that these solutions and creatures, they're all out there doing work, and yeah, they're awesome.
So what have we actually found when we're doing our research? We found that the liverworts don't do very well without nutrients, which is not a super shocking result. These two pictures are taken the exact same week. One plate is a plate with low nitrogen concentration and the other is a higher nitrogen concentration. So you can see pretty immediate effects. These are the same exact species planted the same exact day, just growing under two different conditions. When I was doing this project with sulfur last quarter, we didn't see as drastic of an effect simply because nitrogen is a little bit more of an essential nutrient for plants. But when we were analyzing all of the statistical pieces for this research last quarter, when these plants were given the same level of sulfur, we actually could see that there was an impact of carbon dioxide. And so the plants that received more carbon dioxide were able to grow faster and bigger, which means that they're absorbing more carbon dioxide. It demonstrated a pretty likely opportunity for carbon sequestration. Because these plants are so small, they can be spread out across such large areas with very little impact. You can walk on them, you can kind of explore with them. They're similar, not really to a grass, but they have a similar sort of feel in that they take up very little space but can expand in pretty large areas. Um, and so this carbon dioxide does actually increase their growth, and we can see that they're absorbing a lot of it, and it shows really cool opportunity. We haven't run statistical analysis yet, as we're still kind of in the process of what the nitrogen impacts look like on these and the new carbon dioxide levels that we're testing. But
Yeah, but I mean, just visually, like Solana mentioned earlier, this picture that looks like it doesn't have anything in it, it does. There are these tiny little circles that are gemmas that we planted with toothpicks. Pretty tedious, but they're in there, I promise. And that's the nitrogen deficient one. So we're seeing no growth. Whereas with the high nitrogen content on the right side, they're growing pretty great and they're loving it. And these two are also in the same carbon dioxide level in the same bag. So although we don't have all the fancy numbers yet, visually we can see some correlation happening.
So where is this taking us? My dream would be for this to continue and have way more environmental studies students being pulled into biology. This was totally a passion project of mine, and I really loved seeing it become a real thing. Um, and I would love to give more environmental studies students, especially ecological systems specializations, the opportunity to connect with the biology department and really bring our unique perspective into this ecological research. I think that the social science that we learn is incredibly important when also doing the biological sciences, and that's not something that exists across a lot of departments in this university. And so it's a really cool opportunity to bridge that gap. So I would love to see that continue and to build those further, deeper connections.
Yeah, and then just sort of broadening it out there, we also just want to continue to understand liverworts, bryophytes in general, and just recognizing these importance of the traditionally overlooked species. They have their message out there somewhere, and it just takes us taking a closer look to better understand them. And then just continuing to uphold and practice the values of the Laudato Si by improving and continuing sustainability research, work, and knowledge at Seattle U.
Thank you.